Monday, April 20th, 2020. This is Darren Marchant for American Nomad News. It is a bright, sunny Monday morning at 6:42. I'm up on top of the brand new parking structure behind the Hilton in downtown Chandler, Arizona. And it's kind of a funny thing because I grew up here in Chandler 30 years ago when it was a little bitty farming town. And, it's a bit of a shock to see the change. Well, for one, I could see, look at these things. They're just absolutely destroyed. I got them held together by black electrical tape. But that's what it is to be homeless and broke all the time. Let's take a look at Chandler, shall we? Oh, look at the little palm tree puffs in the background. You can just see them line up. Boop, 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 boop. Okay. So, this parking structure is really kind of an interesting thing. It's right behind the Hilton, of course. And as you can see, there's Chandler stretching out far into the distance. And the bright sun, you can't even see anything when you look that direction. Okay. And it's a crazy world we live in, it really is. Things change dramatically. And for those who grow up in a little bitty town that isn't a little bitty town when they're older, it's a shock. It's a scary thing. What happened to my little haunts, my places I sat? The familiarity's all gone. When we move out into the solar system, it's going to be a big shock for a lot of people. Their entire lives are going to be different. But the children that come from them, it's going to be normal for them. This is not a new experience. The American experience especially is loaded with that kind of thing. People come from every corner of the world. From Thailand and China and France and South America and Africa and places that are dramatically different. And they show up in Burbank or, Chicago or Boise or who knows where. Twin Falls, Idaho. Iowa, of all places. Right? From who knows where. Some jungle somewhere, some village, some big city that's, 2,000 years old, and they show up in some place that is proud that they're 200 years old. And the shock, boom, everything's different. So dramatically different that it can be frightening. Absolutely frightening. So here we find ourselves in an ever-changing world. COVID has locked down the country and the world. I just saw a video from Pinoy or Philippines, or I'm not sure if Pinoy is a place or a cultural thing. I'm kind of, I haven't spent a lot of time there. And they're locked down there. And there was somebody, on a little TikTok video. So, it's kind of crazy. They got the curfew and they busted me last night and all that kind of stuff. And it's pretty crazy stuff. And I get people coming up and whispering to me, oh, they did this and that. What do you mean by it? What is that all about? Why are you telling me this stuff? But this is an especially interesting place to me, right through here. It's kind of hard to even see it. I'm going to turn around and take a look. Yeah, okay, over there. Okay. It's kind of hard to see in the screen. Over there somewhere is a famous old hotel. Yeah, it was the Frank Lloyd Wright. It's the San Marcos Golf Course and Hotel. Can't even see it anymore. It's buried in amongst the newer buildings. Almost forgotten, renovated so many times it doesn't even look like it used to. Doesn't have that old world Spanish mission grandeur. It's just another pastel blocky building. world changes. It changes a lot. How do we cope with that when we go into space? How do we cope with the level of change here on Earth and for the lives of people who leave Earth knowing that they're never coming back, that their planned mission, where they're planning to go, is so far away that there's no point in coming back? That they've got a thing to do, and that's going to make room for them. And it's going to make room for the people back on Earth. Without anybody having to kill their children or make wars. Keep track of a body count so they can celebrate how they made room on the world for people. No, they're going to go out in the solar system. And they're going to explore, and they're going to bring back benefits. They're going to send back benefits in the form of knowledge and rare materials. They're going to learn how to process the ore that they find in new and interesting ways, and they're going to communicate that back to their buddies back on Earth, and Earth is going to benefit. But it's going to be a dramatic change, an incredible change. What I see in here, from what I've figured out, is so different that nobody in NASA has envisioned anything like this. You don't see it anywhere on the web. You don't see it in the movies. You don't see it in anything. Not even the most realistic movies that are out there about space. None of them. The most modern ones to the oldest ones. And I've watched all that stuff. I've watched the Russian space movies. I've watched the American ones. I've watched all of it. I've studied it. I've read the papers. I went to the meetings and hung out with the people. Looked at what they were interested in. I got some relatives. God bless them. Out in the Midwest. They're all involved in the 3D printing and all that stuff. They don't see it. The glare from their own lives, from the brightness of their own lives, is too bright. They can't see it. But we turn around, and when we let the light in, and you can see a lot. And the shadow comes, and we see further. It may very well be within 100 years, humanity explodes across the whole of the solar system. Or we fall back into that dark ages ignorance, that emptiness of false living. We really have an opportunity. An opportunity to reach up and grab that top rung, to break the barrier. And we don't have much chance, if we miss it, of ever grabbing it again. We have to continue. But we have to do so with a vision. We can put the light behind us. Or in front of us. We can reach out into the solar system. Look out into the universe. In such a way that that knowledge never disappears. Something changes when large numbers of humans leave the earth. You realize that. The conditions will require us to retain knowledge. Excuse me. Can't edit that out. Neither Google nor Chromebook will let me. But, I'm staring into the sun and walking around in the breeze, and everything's pollinating, so God bless spring. God bless us all. And for those out there who are suffering from the effects of coronavirus, surviving from it, I've been through something remarkably similar. I had pneumonia in Dutch Harbor, Alaska, and I nearly died. I was in bed for 3 weeks. And it was knowledge that saved me. It was my understanding that I had to go out and I had to find out what was going to get me healthy. So I went back. I looked it up. I studied. I studied my problem. In 2001, 2002, 2003. Right after I got out of the island that I was on that I got sick at, and I was sitting in Seattle, I got online and I discovered that anise, a little seed called anise seed, and not to be confused with star anise or fennel, was traditionally used to clear people's lungs. That was the problem I had. The doctors had told me that I'd get sick really easy. And sure enough, I did. Every year like clockwork, man. Weather starts getting cold, I would turn into a ball of goo. I'd get all weak and sick and scared. I'd start making anise tea. It's not about anise tea. It's about the research. It's about the fact that if we have a problem, we don't rely on anybody else. We get in there, find out what the problem is, and solve it. Sometimes, you got to go to the doctor because you can't take the splinter out of your own eye. But I was also told in Detroit that if I were dying on the street and I didn't have insurance, they'd leave me there to die. That is socialism. That's the true message. That if you don't belong to the state, then the state needs you. And they get mad. They say mean things and they push you away. And they monopolize health and safety and property. I learned my lesson. Anytime I can help someone, I help them because God wants me to. God doesn't need anything from us. We are rewarded by our own actions. And those actions which help each other are best. But there's a balance. Just like raising a kid and putting the kid in charge of the family doesn't work. Sometimes you got to tell the kid, get up off your ass and walk. No. And the little toddler's like, oh, pick me up, pick me up. No, it's time for you to walk. It's time for you to carry your load. There's a balance. God bless us, everyone. I'm at 14 minutes and 20 seconds and counting, and I need to click that little button or YouTube will not allow me to upload this thing. You have a blessed day.